Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is the Steel Curtain Network's Dave Schofield coming at you. It's Tuesday night. It's a little bit after 9 o'clock, but hey, I had some business to take care of talking with my nephew before the show started. But this is our family show, and with me as always, except when he's not, is my big brother, Rich. Rich, how's it going tonight?
Hey, it is going quite well. We're into summer and might as well bring it up because, this time next week we'll be hanging out together.
So. We will be hanging out together. And yes, we will be staying at a house. These actually exist that does not have Wi-Fi. So shockingly. Yeah. So next week, it kind of works out because I know people would probably ask about this. I could have brought it up later, but I'll bring it up now. Next week is the 4th of July. It's Independence Day. That would be your normal Scho Bro night. I want you all at this time, go out, enjoy your family, see if you can catch fireworks. If you don't live in the U.S., it's all right. We're going to do fireworks anyway. So
if you don't live in the U.S., go set off some fireworks anyway.
Yeah, set off anyway. Say you're celebrating with the Scho Bros. But it will not be us next week. There will be probably, most likely, we're not 100% sure how it's going to work out. There will probably be a YouTube show at some point earlier in the day so people can enjoy their holiday. So if you want to join us live for YouTube, like a lot of you like to do, you've got to make sure you subscribe to the channel, you turn on your notifications, you'll get that notification that it's going live, and you'll be able to, I would love nothing more than to be able to check in with that and say, hey, how's it going from the beach? But I just don't think it would work out that way, unfortunately. But I wouldn't mind if I could do it on my phone and catch the ocean in the background, talking Steelers with the live chat. That would be great. But there'll be something next week, most likely. And that's about the best I can say right now because we're still working on a plan for that. But we will be together. We'll be hanging out at the beach. Had to check in with Scho 2.0 and make sure everything was good. Okay. But Rich, I got to ask, did you pull the trigger or did you not? Because today,
I did not.
Wait, we got to sit up, everybody. Today was their first chance to get your free, they're free, and I'm pretty sure they don't put a limit on them, so it's not like you're going to be fighting for them, but your free tickets to training camp. Did you have a date yet that you snagged tickets for?
No, I was hoping to possibly nail it down because I was in a training and I was sitting next to one of the people that I'll be going with. But we weren't 100% sure yet, and B, I wanted to check and make sure whatever I decided on was okay with Kyle because he'll be going too.
Yeah, I
did not pull the trigger yet.
I would really like to go, but chances are, if I'm heading up there, it's if I can convince one Jefferson Bartholomew Hartman to head in that direction. I don't know work-wise if Brian Anthony Davis can pull it off, and I'm kind of scared he'd go too close to the Beehive anyway. So,
I think the three of you should go up and you should do it on a Thursday and then do the preview from up there.
I think that would be a whole lot of fun. I see here that Matt Smith, he actually checks out the fireworks. That's the closest fireworks display to my house. But I won't be at that. I've seen them in the past when we haven't been away for the 4th of July. But we have an exquisite view of fireworks next Tuesday night. During this time, they usually go around 9:30, so they won't have started yet. But during this time next week,
9:25. Looked it up today. 9:25.
9:25. We stay right at the Nags Head Fishing Pier, and they set the fireworks off at the end of the pier. So we are out on the deck, which is the closest view on the deck of a house that you can have to the fireworks. It's pretty nice. So, all right, but getting on. So we talked about training camp. You're going to get up there. You just haven't figured out a date. If anyone else, hey, if you grabbed your tickets today, throw it in the live chat. Let us know when you're going, so that way other people can know. Because if I make it up there, trust me, I'm going to make sure everyone knows when I'm going to be there. We got to bring this up, Rich. I don't know if you saw where I put this in the random channel on our Slack channel, because it's where we try to put stuff that's not exactly Steelers news, but it's NFL news. We have one of our channels, Steelers Pittsburgh, brought it up. Sad news about Ryan Mallett, only 35 years old. Did you hear about this, Rich?
I saw your
Yes.
post.
Yes. Ryan Mallett. It's really sad because every time I've said his name recently, it's generally been freaking Ryan Mallett, because he's the reason I won't go to a Steelers game in Baltimore. I've gone one time. He ruined it for me. Unless I'm in the press box, I'm not going. But for those of you that might not have heard, former Patriots, Texans, Ravens quarterback Ryan Mallett passed away today from a drowning in Florida. I've been busy doing other podcasts and other stuff for Still Curd Network, so I haven't had to go back and see if there's been updates to the story, if there's been more details. But very sad.
According here, I don't know if this is true or not, but Steelers Pittsburgh says Mallett drowned in a boating accident. Not sure. I haven't seen that reported yet, but I am like you. I haven't been able to catch up on it in the last couple hours. So.
Yeah, and my thing was, when I first was telling my wife about it, I assumed it was in the ocean, and then I'm like, you know what? I might have been reading into that if it was definitely in the ocean, that it wasn't, a pool or a lake or a river or anything like that. So, but I think that's what it was. But either way, very, very sad. Don't know the details. Part of me, kind of like with the passing of Clark Hagen's last week, what Jeff Hartman said is sometimes you almost don't want to know the details because it's going to make it even more sad. But just Ryan Mallett. I don't know if he started more than that one game against the Steelers, but I know he played a spoiler. Oh my goodness, what year was that now? I'm trying to remember. Was that 2018 maybe? I'm trying to remember.
Sure.
When the Steelers couldn't pull off that win when Joe Flacco was injured and everything. So I'm sure someone will correct me in the live chat. Let me know what year that was. Very sad, but Rich, there's never an easy way to transition from this, but we'll roll. Hey, the Steelers signed 2 of their 3 draft picks. I think we mentioned that last week, about 3 were outstanding. Broderick Jones, Keanu Benton signed Friday. Joey Porter. Tell you what, I've got the article keyed up and ready to go for whenever it happens, because it's coming. It'll be along soon. And honestly, if he's waiting because Levis, the quarterback who was drafted right behind him, hasn't signed. Hey, if you want to see what the quarterback gets because he was a quarterback, and you want to use that to make sure that you can get everything that's negotiable inside the way the rookie wage scale is structured, I don't blame him at all. I really don't. I don't think it's going to be a problem or anything that goes into training camp. So he's a local guy. He can get it done whenever. So
all right. I'm going to go back on Ryan Mallett for a minute. ESPN was reporting that it was a drowning. There was a group of people swimming in the Gulf of Mexico near a sandbar, and they struggled to make their way back to shore. One of the individuals, later identified as Mallett, was not breathing when he was pulled out of the water. He was transported to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead.
So was
not seeing boating accident. It had to do with swimming. And I saw this morning, which would have been even before this happened, there have been 9 deaths due to rip currents in the state of Florida so far this year.
Ooh.
They are ridiculously bad down there right now. And I was wondering, and now it's seeming like it could be true if that played into it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and Matt Smith said that was 2015 with Ryan Mallett. I'm not surprised. I knew it wasn't 17. I can get it.
I thought it was before I had moved back here, but I wasn't sure.
So, but I don't know. Have you ever been on the Gulf side of Florida and in the ocean before?
Yes,
I have.
In Florida. In Florida. No, I've been in Alabama and Mississippi. But not Florida.
And I was there, 25, almost 30 years ago. And I remember, there was a sandbar off. I think that's just a common occurrence in the Gulf and everything. And I don't know if there was strong rip currents, and everything, but it sounds like it was a whole group of people that were struggling. Mm-hmm. So that's tragic. So you never want to hear those kinds of stories. 35. There's for a quarterback in the NFL, 35. Sometimes they're still going. He was the coach of a high school team. He was hired last February and had one season. So
35. He was a young whippersnapper.
Yes, he was. My goodness,
compared
10 years younger than I am. Yeah. So, all right, Rich. Well, let's unfortunately move on. We mentioned some stuff with contract. Let's get into the subject here. Got to throw it out there because we like doing these top 5 lists. Tonight's is going to be slightly different. We're going to do it a little bit different, but this one came from you all. We said, hey, if you have a good idea for one, send me a message on Twitter. My Twitter handle is on the screen, STLR SuperFanDad. Or if you just throw in @gmail.com afterwards, you can send me an email. And I got a message on Twitter, and we're rolling with it. And that is, this is from, and you even told me before we went on the air how to pronounce her last name, and I still can't remember. So I'll say the first name, you say the last name.
No, you butcher it first, and then I'll correct you.
Because I keep Jennifer Pricer. Okay. Pricer. So, and that's why I just say Jennifer when she puts it up in the live chat whenever we do our question at the end, because I always second guess how to say it. This is what she said. She said, "What about the top 5 things that need to happen for the Steelers to become Kings of the North?" Now, in order to fit the title winner thing, I had to shorten it just a little bit. So we're looking for the 5 things for the Steelers to return as Kings of the North. And normally we'll take these and we'll count them down. You don't have yours in any particular order, do
you? No particular order. These were just the 5 things the first 5 things that really came to mind that I felt I need to see from the Steelers to regain that King of the North title.
All right. So here's Jennifer. She says, Cruiser, like PT Cruiser.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay. So maybe neither one of us had it right. Cruiser. Okay. Yeah. And every time I see it, Jennifer, I think I know what it is. And I have no confidence in it. I second guess. So thank you, Jennifer. Glad you're here for it. I want to do mine in order from 1 to 5, because I look at it as a progression. Now, we might not have done this the same way, because we could get into some specifics. I took this as looking at some overall philosophies. Like, no joke. If Mike Tomlin, like we saw that clip, did you see that clip last week of him about continually on the rise? Go ahead. What? Uh-oh.
Careful. I'm just warning you. Be careful here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm just saying
be careful here.
How Mike Tomlin would address this to the team is kind of how I looked at it in various things. But there's really no rules to it. We can kind of go with it however we want. So since mine are in order, do you want me to start? You to start? Doesn't really matter to me here which way we do this.
I don't care either.
Okay. Well, why don't you do one? My first one's going to take some time. I hate to tell you guys this. This is Scho Bro going to turn a little bit stat geeky on here, because I'm going to have some evidence and some stuff with this. But this week's stat geek, I'll tease it, is a little bit different than it has been, because I actually have a guest. I have a good one. So make sure you check that out Thursday morning. So I had to throw some of my stats in here. So go ahead, Rich. Give me one of yours.
All right. More offensive splash plays.
That, you know what? I like that one. I did not have that one on my list, because I probably went a little bit more general. But say you give more splash, you can get back to being Kings of the North.
Yeah. How long did it take the Steelers before they had a touchdown of over, what was it, like 15 yards or something last? They had. Forever. I'm pretty sure
that the Steelers only had one touchdown from outside the red zone.
I think no, I think it was more than one, but they hadn't had one from outside the red zone for quite a while. I do remember they got one to George Pickens then.
Yes, but I was thinking that now I might be thinking wrong. I was thinking the first streak was they hadn't scored from outside the 10. And then they scored from outside the 10. And then when you actually said from outside the 20, they only got it one time. Either way, it was not good. It wasn't, they did not get splash plays for touchdowns. I mean, even looking back at week 18, the Steelers' first possession, long pass and run, Deontay Johnson, you think he's going to get his first touchdown of the season, and he gets tackled at the 2. They just couldn't get those all the way into the touchdown zone. So they had some nice splash plays, and too many of their splash plays, I'll say this now, too many of their splash plays, most of them to George Pickens or Deontay Johnson, happened on the sideline, where they had great catches that they pulled in on the sideline and gained anywhere from 15 to 30 some yards, but they couldn't keep going to the end zone.
Correct.
So there were some really, think of that week 3 catch against the Browns that Pickens had. He had another ridiculous one in some of the games. I'm just thinking of some of the games that I've done, looking at all the highlights from the wins from the series that I'm doing. That should finish up. The 2 games are both out there. The 2 matchups are out there to vote on right now for the final that comes up on Thursday on the website, which is the best game of the year. In case you're wondering, the final 4 were the 3 division wins and the Raiders win. Those are the final 4.
Yeah, all right. So kind of,
but there were some good ones.
Splash plays too that I'm thinking could happen as Dave is gone. And goodbye, Dave. Good. Then I'll get to talk about what I was talking about. So, with the more offensive splash plays, I'm thinking too that with adding Mount Washington in there with Pat Freiermuth, that hopefully those 2 guys can be good enough that they really demand a lot of attention in the middle of the field, which will hopefully open things up on the outside more for DJ and George Pickens to not just make plays on the outside, but to be able to make plays and run on the outside.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And for those of you watching on video, sorry I disappeared for a moment. Hopefully it doesn't happen again, but for some reason I keep ended up like if I just hit a certain button, I end up back out of here. So hopefully that's it for it. But thanks for covering for me there, Big Bro.
Oh, sorry.
I want to dive into my number 1 because I got some good numbers to get with it. You ready?
Go.
All right. Number 1 thing that the Steelers have to do, and I'm talking right now strictly divisional games in the AFC North. Defend your house. You need to win your home division games. Now let me give you some evidence for this. Let me get you some numbers. First, let's just look at the last 3 years. The Steelers, this past year, their home games in the AFC North, they went 1-2. The year before, they went 2-1. And the year before, they went 3-0. And they finished 3rd this past year, going 1-2 at home. 2nd the year before, going 2-1. And 1st the year before, going 3-0. So I decided, let's dive into that a little bit, Rich. I decided to go back. I'm like, how far do you go back? Do you go back 2000? No, that's too far. Do you go back 2002 when the North started? You could. I'm like, I used to do the Roethlisberger era. Might as well do the Mike Tomlin era because he's the one that's sticking around longest, if you want to go back farther. So I went back to 2007 and looked up the Steelers' home divisional record and compared it to how they finished in the division. Here's some interesting stuff with this. When the Steelers went 3-0 at home in the AFC North, they did it 7 times. 6 of those 7 times, they won the division. The 1 year they didn't was 2013. And that was a strange year because the Steelers had the best division record of 4-2. They went 3-0 at home, 4-2 overall, where the Bengals were only 3-3. but the Steelers played so bad in their other games, they were only 8-8, where the Bengals were 12-4. So the Steelers had the best division record, but they didn't win the division because they didn't have a very good overall record. Yep. Remember, they started 0-4 and everything that year. So when they go 3-0, they usually win the division. They've gone 2-1 6 times. They came in first once. Okay, and I have a note on that. Now I got to find it. They came in first once, and the reason they came in first in that one is because they went 3-0 on the road. So they made up for their one home loss by going undefeated on the road. But what's more important is to win your games at home. Whenever they go at 2-1, they came in second 4 times, and they came in third once. And when they were 1-2 at home, they came in second 1 time and third twice. So as you can see, when the Steelers can win their home division games, they have a much better chance of winning the division.
Gotcha. Hey,
how you like that?
Can't argue those stats. Can't argue those stats.
Yeah. So yes, you want to have those. Like last year. Here now, I got some other numbers to throw out there, but yeah, they went 1-2 at home. They came in third in the division. Now we'll talk about last year in the division here when we get to some other stuff. All right, Rich, you got another one for us?
I have another one. Okay. We need the return of the Wizard of Oz.
You need that clutch kicker to win those close divisional games.
Correct.
At the end.
Yes. Okay. Boz did not have a year last year like he had in 2017 when he
2017 was I think he was Pro Bowl. 2018 he had that rough year. Bounce back in 2019.
Last year wasn't that rough 2018 year, but even he would tell you he did not have a great year. Yeah. So we need the Wizard of Oz back to be able to pull out a few of those games in the end.
Yes. Yes, I think you are correct there. And it's only because Boz has established that and spoiled Steelers fans. I was reading something, what was it? I think it was Bob Labriola today. And I also saw this from my own self when I did the series of certain round draft picks that were drafted by other teams but played well for the Steelers, and looked at Gary Anderson.
Yep.
Man, Boz's numbers blow every other kicker for the Steelers out of the water. I mean, just his kicks over 80 yards. He's got a better percentage over 80 yards than most Steelers kickers have overall.
Over 80 yards.
Oh, sorry, over 50 yards at 80%. He's at like 80% over 50 yards. I got my numbers mixed up. Yeah, what do you know? The dyslexic guy switches numbers around. Over that'd be pretty impressive. Yeah, if he's kicking 80-yard field goals, I'll take that.
I want the Boz that when he trots out there on the field, when the Steelers are down, get the ball with a little bit of time left, Kenny Pickett gets him at least to give Boz a chance, and you trot Boz out there for a 54-yarder. I want to say there's a really good chance he makes this, and then he nails it.
Yep. Now, I'm going to bring up something. I hope this doesn't spoil anything with you. But Jeremiah Yoder says, Boz needs to be making extra points mostly and making all the 3-point field goals. The only time I want Boz kicking is honestly, other than the extra points, is at the end of the half and the end of the game when they're just trying to get to a certain range. You're right. I would prefer that he'd be kicking 1-point attempts. Absolutely. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and give my number 2. It's a little bit different than my other 5. It's a little bit more towards the kind of stuff you have there. Okay. And I just called it Bring the Thunder. And my whole idea is you want to win the AFC North, you got to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. It might be black and gold on Sunday, but it's about being black and blue on Monday. That I don't know about you. I don't think the last couple seasons I felt as much remember when you'd say, oh man, look and see who the Steelers play the week after they play the Ravens, and look at who the Ravens play the week after they play the Steelers, because those two teams just beat each other to pieces. Did you feel that the AFC North was beat each other to pieces as much as in years past? I just didn't have that overall feeling this year.
I did not have that overall feeling last year. I think it'll come back. I think it will, because that's AFC North football. Games were tough and things like that, but it just wasn't the same black and blue division like it usually is.
Yeah, so that's what I said. I'm like, all right, so first of all, defend your house, get physical, control that line of scrimmage. So far you've got, splash plays and bring back the Boz. Let's go ahead and knock out our third ones here before we take a break.
Okay. Well, I'm going to, since my list had no particular order, I'm going to go ahead and jump to one in particular. Okay. And that is to be the toughest team on the field.
Hey, sense that's kind of okay.
Okay. And I was thinking of that from actually, I had two ways that can go. Of course, it's to be the toughest team on the field, win the black and blue battle, be that tough. But also I was thinking in terms of the mentally tough as well. And I think about that in particular when you're playing the teams, I'll bring them up. The two jaggy teams from that state that starts with an O and ends with an O. Mm. When you're playing those teams, the jaggy teams with jaggy players.
Yeah.
And when those guys are acting like jags, are we mentally tough enough to not do something stupid and draw the dumb penalties or do stupid things like that? Mm-hmm. So there is the whole, physically tough, but there's also the whole mentally tough piece as well.
Poised.
Yes.
As well, keep it between the whistles, which is the smart thing to do between the ears. So, yeah, I understand why you jumped to that one, because that went right along there. And I think we both understand that's the whole notion of AFC North football and
AFC North football.
And my next one kind of rolls along with that, but I once again I got some numbers to back it up. Okay. I'm going to make a statement. I know there's some people, I don't know if they're in the live chat tonight or not, they're not going to want to hear this because they want to talk about some other certain things. But when it comes to the AFC North, even though people want to talk about keeping pace with the Bengals, defense wins division games. Defense wins division games. So this is about keeping your opponent out of the end zone, defending every blade of grass, and when you're put in a bad situation, we're only giving up 3 instead of 7. Those kind of things. Here's why. We'll give you some numbers to back this up. In 2022, now remember, there are 12 division games in the regular season every year. There's 4 teams. They play each other once. So that's 12 total games. Of those 12 games, 9 of them, the losing team scored 17 points or less. The losing team was held to 17 points or less in 9 of the 12. In 11 of the 12, it was 20 points or less. So in other words, if you're holding your opponent to those scores, you are more likely to win your divisional games. Now, the only game last year in which the loser scored more than that was the Steelers against the Bengals when it got into a shootout and the Steelers lost 30-37. They scored 30 points. And like I said, scoring 30 points doesn't matter if you end up losing the game. And that was the most points the Steelers scored all season, and they lost. Okay? Mm-hmm. Only 2 times did the winners hit 30 points in the games last year. So it really was the defense keeping your opponent from reaching 17 or even 20 points won those games. Then if you look back another year, back to 2021, 10 of the 12 games were under 20 points. And the other 2 games, meaning of the losers, or sorry, was 20 points or under, sorry. Want to make sure I say that properly. And the other two games were 21 points and 22 points. So nobody scored 23 points in a division game in 2021 and won the game. So that's why I'm saying in these division AFC North games, it really is down to the defense. Yes, the Bengals can be a dynamic offense. And yes, it was that 37-30 game last year. But that game was actually more the exception than the rule over the last two seasons. Now, back in 2020, when there was no fans in the stadium, there was a couple crazy high scoring games in there, but there were also a number of games in which a team didn't even get double digits in the AFC North. It was more all over the place 3 years ago. But just look at the last two seasons, it's been defense that has won the division games. So you're just shaking your head. You're like,
I am. So basically, play your defense, score 24 points. You're probably going to win.
Yeah. And it's not like you're shooting for 24 points. I mean, my goodness, shoot for, you want to put up 7 on every drive. But especially in AFC North games, between the division, it seems a lot more likely that, 25 points offensively can get the job done. Now, I know the Steelers didn't come close to averaging that last year, but it is more about holding your opponent down than anything based on those numbers.
Yeah.
All right, Rich. That's we're just over partway through, and we're a little bit over halfway through the show. So we're going to go ahead and take our break. We'll come back. We'll hit the rest of these lists. So if you're with us here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, we'll be back in a couple seconds. And if you're with us on the audio, stick around after these messages. All right, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, here we go. We are rolling on. We are talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers coming up with a plan to get back to return as kings of the North. And we're doing 5 things. So we can't just say win or, something like that. We're making sure we're bringing you more than just the simplest low-hanging fruit out of everything. So this is what we have so far. Rich, you still doing good?
I'm doing good. I'm wonderful.
Mine were, because I was going in order, in a specific order, starting from the top, moving down. I said, defend your house, win your divisional games, bring the thunder, control the line of scrimmage, and defense wins division games. So you've got to make sure your defense is showing up on those division games. Yours were, in order to roll in yours, more splash plays, like that one.
On offense.
The return of the Wizard of Oz.
Yep.
In order to come through in those key clutch moments at the end of the game. And as you said with mine, I can't be the toughest team on the field.
Correct.
Did I get that right? Okay.
You got it right.
All right. So, Rich, you ready to roll?
Yes.
You got another one?
I do.
Yeah.
All right. Here, for my next one, the Steelers need to show some creativity on both sides of the football.
Gotcha. Creativity on
both sides of the ball.
Okay. In other words,
part of when I say creativity, part of what I mean in that, I think when I say it, part of what I envision is being unpredictable. That's part, I mean, how many times you think about it when you say, oh, the Steelers, boy, that was a creative play. Well, most of the times the play wasn't anything new. It wasn't anything, earth-shattering or groundbreaking, but it was just the Steelers did something in a situation where nobody was expecting them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody knows what a flea flicker play looks like, right?
Yeah.
Well, why do those succeed? Those succeed when the team does the play when the other team is totally not expecting it,
or not in the correct defense to defend it. Yeah,
exactly. So that's when things like that works, and that kind of goes along with the creativity, knowing when to pull a play out and use it to its maximum effectiveness.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring up something because, of course, people are talking in there about, poo-pooing on the jet sweeps. Guess what? Stop poo-pooing on the jet sweeps.
Yeah, they're not.
You are not poo-pooing when the Raiders were not expecting the Steelers to run a jet sweep to Connor Hayward, who busts it for 20 yards and ends the game on Christmas Eve.
Right.
Okay. Jet sweeps are just fine. You've just got to run them in the right spots. And if you run them where they don't work, it should be to set up something else. I will tell you, there were times when I was a coach. Now, granted, this was at the high school level. I'm not saying this is how they would work in the NFL. So please, I understand this. You could be highly critical of this. Where I ran a play, turned to my assistant coach, said, "This one's not going to work very well." He's like, "Why are you running it?" I said, "Because once we do this, I'm going to run this one, and it's going to work really well." Correct. And it did. And it did. Well, I don't think we scored a touchdown, but we got like 40 some yards on the next play. I said, "Watch it, because we run this play, then I'm going to run this play, and it's going to work." And something of that nature. So I get you there. It's not just you're right. If everyone knows the jet sweep is coming, it doesn't work. When you run your jumbo package, and every time the wide receiver is Johnny Holton, and you always run the ball, and then you go to run your jumbo package and you put James Washington out there, the other teams know a pass is coming. That's exactly what they did in 2019.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I want to see you pass out of the jumbo package, but when you telegraph it, that's not creativity. That's not going to work. And why do you think the Steelers run that motion, that jet sweep motion, and don't hand the ball off so many times? I can't remember if it was Jeffrey Benedict or KT Smith. Someone did a film room where they showed how the defense has to respect that. So you run, if every time you run that motion, you're going to run the jet sweep, then every time you see the motion, you just jump on the sweep. You just can't do that. So you've got to use your creativity wisely. You're exactly right there, bro. So anything else you want to add to it?
No.
Okay.
Nope. Just some creativity, both sides of the ball. And like I said, creativity, you could say it, creativity / unpredictability.
Unpredictability. Yes, I love that.
Yeah,
the unpredictability of it.
You can't, on the defense side of the ball, you can't show the same thing every time you're going to blitz a corner or a safety. It can't look the same every time, or teams are going to pick up on that. It's running different disguises, allowing a person to come from this side and this spot one time, maybe they're blitzing, and another time maybe they're in that same position they're not blitzing. It's you have to stay unpredictable.
The prime example of being unpredictable, even in a less, I don't know if it's less creative or less splashy way, is when James Harrison did not rush. Correct. And dropped into coverage and had a 100-yard touchdown return in the Super Bowl. Correct. That was not expected. And that's why it worked.
And not only was it not expected, it wasn't what was called.
Yeah, it wasn't what was called either.
That was James Harrison just seeing something, and
just
something.
It was just something told him
he's going to try and do this, and just step back into it. And
so that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's what it's not like you have to, all of a sudden be creative and send 3 players on a blitz and drop your nose tackle into coverage or anything like that. Sometimes it's just, your outside linebacker takes a steps into coverage, boom, he's right there. You do it what you don't expect. Love that answer. All right. My list takes a little bit of a turn here because I go from talking about division games to talking about Steelers. I'm breaking this down from a number standpoint. Now what to do with the rest of your schedule. This is something that I do every year when it comes to the AFC North because I think it's key, and that's why I put it on my list. And that is when it comes to the rest of your schedule, follow suit against common opponents. This year, the Steelers play the AFC South. Now, it's a little bit different because, two teams, against one of the teams from the South, one team might have them at home versus on the road. Well, I get that. But bottom line is, you can't be the team that, let's say it's the Houston Texans. They're playing the Houston Texans. You can't be the one team in the AFC North that loses that game while the other three win it.
Yeah.
If you think that you're going to be able to pull off winning the division. And the reason I say this, because I'll go ahead and bring this up now, is what's the number one thing that determines if you win the division? It's not your division record, it's your overall record.
Yeah.
I talked about that with the Steelers going 4-2 in the division in 2013 and not winning the division because the Bengals, who were 3-3 in the division, had a better overall record, by far a better overall record. So you got to remember this about the AFC North, Rich. What was the best record in the division last year? It's a trick question.
Trying to remember, was it 11 and?
No. I mean divisional record, not overall record.
Oh, division
record. It's kind of a trick question. That's my hint for you.
I don't know. All the teams were 3-3.
All the teams were 3-3.
Oh, were they really? Okay.
All four teams. Not only were they 3-3, they all split with each other. Every team was 1-1 against every other team in the AFC North last year.
That's crazy.
And the Steelers came in third in the division. Why? Because of their record against other teams was not as good as the other. That's what ultimately determines where you finish in your division. Your division record only comes into play as the third thing. The third thing. It's overall record, it's head-to-head record, which when you play a team twice, that sometimes that's going to be a wash because you're 1-1, and then it's division record. So you've got to keep pace with those other games. So that's what I mean when I say follow suit. Like last year, I'm pretty sure, did the Jets beat or lose to everyone but the Steelers? They may have beat the Browns. I can't remember because that might have been the Jets were all over the place last year. So I look at those things as they go. Now, there are some uncommon opponents, but sometimes I group them together. For example, the Steelers, each team plays one team from the NFC West. If the Steelers can win that game and the other three AFC North teams all lose to their NFC West opponent, then the Steelers just gain an advantage.
Right.
2 years ago, when the Steelers beat the Buffalo Bills in week 1, I'm like, they've already got an advantage because when the other teams lose to the Bills. So you've got to keep pace. You can't be that team that loses a game to a common opponent that the other three win. That's how you keep pace and stay on top of the AFC North.
You're a geek.
Why? For going that way?
No. Actually, I love it because it makes,
we looked at this different ways, which is really nice.
But it makes that your argument there just makes 100% sense to me.
Yeah,
because I'm a numbers guy too.
Yeah,
and that common opponent. It's not only did you take a loss, but if the other teams all beat that same team, it's almost like you took a loss and a half.
A loss and a half. Yeah. Yep. So that's why I pay attention to those things when it comes to the AFC North and when they're playing other teams. So that's just what I do. All right, Rich, we each got one more. What do you got?
Oh, well, since you were bringing up at the beginning about, Coach Tomlin and the things he'd say or approach to this, I thought I'd go with my own Coach Tomlinism.
Okay.
To end this up. And that is, we cannot coach in our fears.
Do not coach in your fears. Remember, like we like to say on this thing, live in your fears.
Except in the playoffs.
Yeah. Do not coach in your fears. Okay.
Do not coach in your fears. They can't. They have to figure out. They have to. I don't want to say it. They have to get it right in terms of every time they make a guess at when to be conservative and when to be aggressive. They need to get the large majority of those decisions correct.
And coaching in your fears doesn't mean that you are always taking the chance. Sometimes it's not taking the chance when you think you should, when sometimes the numbers might say you should. For example, I brought up in number 3 on my list that defense is what is the driving force in division games. And I have a feeling that sometimes the Steelers might play things differently in the division based on that. You know, I think back to the Atlanta game last year when the Steelers could have kicked a really long field goal to try to go up 6. They didn't. They punted it. If you're playing the Ravens, I know they would have punted it. They playing the Browns, I think they might have gone. I think they might have gone for the field goal. You know, that sometimes it goes to play in there, that you've got to also think, hey, if points are going to be at a premium, sometimes I have to do it. When it's fourth and 1 on the 26-yard line going in, and it's a long one, it's almost 2, and you really think that you could go up there and push it and get that in an AFC North game, are you really willing to sacrifice not getting those points? Those are tough things, because if you're talking a game that could just as easily be 20-17, those 3 points are way different than when you're talking a game that's 33-30.
Momentum shifts can be so much more in those division games than other games. Not say they aren't in other games, but my goodness, how many times can you look at an AFC North game and just really come back to 1 or 2 places where momentum just totally shifted on a play?
I'll give you something. In the Steelers' last game they've played, the last time we watched them play, you were there. You and Rob were at the game. You're watching.
Yes, you were.
Deontay Johnson comes up short of the end zone. I already talked about that play. What happened to the next play? They hand off to Najee Harris. What does Najee Harris do? He scores. What does the official do? He calls him down.
Yep.
Steelers don't challenge. They rush to the line to quarterback sneak it to score quickly, but they don't score on the sneak. And the next play, the Steelers fumble. And that super long drive, they get nothing. That affected their offense beyond that drive.
Yes,
it took them a while to get over that. So that was a momentum shifter that basically stalled the Steelers' momentum, that they were going to go in and start dominating that game from the beginning, and it didn't happen. And it took them, I mean, it's a good thing that the Steelers that was their most decisive win, because if not, that really would have, I mean, the amount of time it took the offense to get rolling again.
In the stadium, everybody was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
That was the time everybody's like, uh-oh, is this, what happens from here?
Yeah.
Thank goodness it didn't turn out. But Mike, if it would have turned out against the Steelers, you would have gone back to that series and that whatever 4 plays down near the goal line.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So
right,
that was huge with momentum. Yep, my last one, and this is the 5th one. This is an overall formula, which brings you back to successful football. I've heard Mike Tomlin say this before, that this is your formula for success. And I think this would get the Steelers to the record they need to win the North. Well, first of all, you got to win all the home games. You got to do those things. You got to get to here. This is talking about all your games throughout the season. Got to win your home games and split your road games across your whole schedule. Steelers have 9 home games. They have 8 away games. They win all 9 home games and win half their away games. They finish 13-4. Now, it's really hard to win all your home games. But even if you drop one, that's still 12-5, which is probably going to be good enough to win the AFC North, in my opinion.
Yep.
Maybe, maybe not. Okay, you can drop one. Maybe you squeeze out another road win. Maybe you win more than half your road games. But if you want a formula to have a successful team that puts yourself in the opportunity to win your division and give yourself the best seed possible for the postseason, because win your division, you're there. Win your home games, split your road games. There you go. That's the formula every year. That's the formula to live by. So that's why number 1 comes back to even be more important, even beyond the division. Defend your house. Man, I couldn't believe those numbers when I looked those up when it came to home division games.
That to me was probably the neatest stat you pulled out.
Yeah. That winning that, you know that's going to be an article now on BehindTheStiltCurtain.com. Yes, that website still exists, because that was just interesting. That was really, really interesting. All right, anything else you want to say here to wrap a bow on all of that, or are you ready to get to our big question?
Let's go big question.
Okay, I mean, do we want to just ask what we discussed?
Yes.
So
but they only get one. We got 5. They just get 1.
Yeah, and now, so I'm going to say that this is the one biggest thing to win the AFC North. Now, you got to wait for me to put it in the live chat and everything. So now, obviously, win more games, stuff like that. If that's how you want to waste your one shot, that's once for your one shot, go for it. You can be, you can be as specific as you want, or one thing you want to really get in there. Yeah. Someone's going to say out there, one thing for the Steelers with the AFC North, Joe Burrow to get hurt. Someone's going to say it. Now they won't, because I brought it up.
You know what I was going to say? I was going to go a little more discreet.
Yeah.
But kind of bring back to go that route and I was going to say, bring back.
And it's in there. Just so everyone knows.
Kimo von Holhoff.
Yeah. Bring back Kimo. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Oh, we even got Marky D laughing at that one about that because he said he was going to say win more games. So yeah, think of that one thing that you think would really make a difference, whether it be something we mentioned or something on your own. The one thing that the Steelers did that you're going to be like, yeah, this team is now the team that runs the North again. So. All right. Just making sure we have it. I think the first one really, and this is the answer all the time. So I'm glad that someone said it. Jerry Cherry Band.
Yep.
Our man, Jerry Cherry Band, gives us our music. He says, stay healthy. You know what? Stay healthy and stay healthier than your opponents.
Yeah. You stay healthy and let them break down.
Yeah. Here's a good one. This is from Jennifer Pruser. I think I got it right that time. The PT Cruiser sticking in my head. Okay, whose question this was? She said red zone touchdown, and then thanks again, guys. Like increase your red zone touchdown percentage is what I would assume that she's meaning there, which is exactly right. When you get your opportunities, Coach Tomlin talks about this a lot.
Turn them into 7s.
When you get down there, you need to walk away with 7s. And when your defense is put in that situation, they need to walk off the field with 3s.
Yep.
That's how you win football games. That really is. Okay. It's funny because some of these things that people are bringing up are actually some of the stats are going to be talked about on Stat Geek this week. I got to plug it again. You got to check out Stat Geek. I have a really good guest that was a lot of fun and talking some good stats. So George OTJ said, win big on the turnover ratio. I had someone in the past tell me that turnover ratio was the wrong way to say it, and that's wrong. That is a correct way to say it. Turnover ratio, turnover margin, same thing. Okay, that you've got to take it away more than you turn it over. Okay. And of course, we get Thomas coming in. He got saying score more points for the other team. Because I know
you know what? What it was is he couldn't think of it, so he decided to go ahead and said, you know what? I'm not thinking of anything else. I'll go ahead and just waste mine.
Yeah. Score more points than the other team. Yep. Afton Ford says building team chemistry. Be that team that's going to go out there and fight for each other, and that's going to make a difference in those. And I think that'll make a difference in those AFC North games. I really do.
Yep.
Steelers Pittsburgh says Allen Robinson is clutch for Pickett. Hey, that would help. Kari is a carrier. Kari, I'm saying it's Kari. Says a healthy team. And every week, that's another one that I mess up every week. Sorry, Carrie. And then, of course, Brian Brown, he also says stay healthy. Okay. Doesn't see how anyone can score in the defense if they stay healthy. Okay. I like this one. Marky D, Steelers Nation Australia. Okay, real answer. Communication overall. That's a good point.
That is a good point.
You can't have the miscommunications in the defense. The offensive guys have to be on the same page and not have a miscommunication, because sometimes miscommunication is the easiest way to give up a splash play on defense or to have a turnover on offense.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's really, really important. Okay. Oh, my screen just went away and came back. Okay. I was waiting for something good coming from Andrew. Andrew Wilmar, fantasy football and NFL draft. Love how he lays that all out. Maintain strong coverage versus tight ends, even without Edmonds. Yeah.
Hey.
Either the Steelers are going to look like geniuses or they're going to look like real boneheads, the front office this season. Because Terrell Edmonds, we talked about it before, about if the Steelers really wanted him and he was that important, he wasn't that expensive. And they chose that he wasn't worth that much.
Yep.
So either they were wrong because he was worth more than that to them, or we'll see if he really wasn't. That's going to be really interesting to see. So Mark Malone, not the Mark Malone, but a Mark Malone.
Our Mark Malone.
Our Mark Malone. Yep. Although you can't see it because Bad and I were talking about he is one of those that does have a glorious mustache. We were talking about that on week that was. So this is going to come down to the D and turnovers. Okay.
Yep.
Whether you mean takeaways or turnovers, yeah. I think that's a huge equation there. Take care of the ball in those games and make the takeaways on defense. Okay. Making sure I got the right one. Steel Chick 46. I like this one. O-line wins in the trenches. Not just O-line, I think D-line. Control that line of scrimmage. Which way is the line of scrimmage moving? Is it moving in your favor or is it moving in your opponent's favor? You agree?
Oh, yeah. It's got to be the Steelers' favor.
Yep. Jeremiah Yoder. Take advantage of the scoring opportunities. Hey,
that's a good one.
Yeah. I talked about that last week on StatGeek.
And along that line, it was one I actually was thinking of earlier and could have considered on my list was making teams pay for turnovers. I look at that as part of that, taking advantage of scoring opportunities. There were times last year where the Steelers did not get a big turnover, turn the ball over, get the ball in the other team's red zone and settle for 3.
Yeah.
That wasn't taking full advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah. We're getting some funny ones in here. Most of these are from now I'm told again that it is Carrie, not Kari. Man. So trying to of course I'd second guess those names all the time, but it's fun. Still looking, see if there's anything that's other than just the discussion with everyone. This is one from someone that I hadn't brought up before, so I'm going to. Robert, would you say Road? Is that how you would say the last name?
That's how I'd say it.
Yep. Says if the Steelers stay healthy, this could be a Super Bowl winning season. I am not ready to go that far because I keep saying I'm not talking about the Super Bowl right now. What I want from this year is to be able to talk about the Super Bowl 1 year from now. If they do, that would really be something. That really would. Would love it, but yeah, there's a lot of things that have to go your way for that one. But that's why we're here. That's why we're here to watch. Okay. Here's a good one from George. He says, control the clock and no dumb penalties. Technically it's 2, but I'll take it.
You skipped the good one.
Which one?
Hold on. I'll go back and get it. Well, maybe.
I'm trying. Well, because some of them are people that have already
Daredevil.
done. Release the pigeons.
Release the pigeons.
I didn't see that one. How did I miss that one?
Oh, yeah. I don't know, but that I was like,
yeah. Well,
sorry,
here, Josh Oshko.
Josh Oshkobagosh.
There we go. Says get some linebackers. Okay. I mean, they have some linebackers. We just don't know what they're going to do. And the outside ones are pretty good. I'm pretty happy with them. I'll say that. Do we have any more? Sherry, we haven't brought Sherry yet, have we?
No.
So this is a long one. We'll do it. She went all out. She tried to bring it up as one thing, but this is a bunch. She says Najee Harris and Warren combined for 1,900 yards rushing and control the game to set up play action and improve the red zone offense.
So hers is more of an overall complete offensive strategy.
Yeah. Yep. So, okay. Because this was Tyler Acuna says averaging 4 yards a carry.
There you go.
So, yeah. Okay. Patrick Stevens says keep drives alive, keep our defense off the field and fresh. Yeah.
Which is actually what we started to see the second half of last season.
Yeah. Yep. Although, there were some discussions in an article yesterday about how the defense not being on the field a bunch, rest actually means nothing when it comes to it. So I'm like, yeah, you can't say it doesn't mean anything. You're looking at, because they were trying to look at like yards per play in the fourth quarter. And I'm just like, you do realize that rest is a factor, but there's a lot of factors like who's winning and by how much and what teams are having to try to do. Because, I mean, wow, a team might be in desperation mode. They might get the ball at their own 20 and in 2 plays be at midfield, and on the third play, throw an interception as they're pushing down the field. Hey, they still averaged 10 yards a play. But, yeah. So
the one thing you got to be careful about, and I even tell this to you and your fun stat geek, you got to be careful about statistics.
Yes. You have to put them in context.
Because statistics is the class that, as a math major, I walked into stats 380 and the professor said, welcome to statistics where we'll teach you how to make the numbers say anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can. Oh, but it looks like someone came in and tried to answer about the jet sweeps and must not have caught it earlier where we completely destroyed that notion. Yeah. Getting rid of the jet sweeps would be foolish because, boy, we love them when they work. All right, Rich, I think that's pretty much it. I was just about ready to bring that up.
I saw it before. I wanted you to know
it did it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it wasn't quite – I wasn't quite sure if you were really – answered the big question before, but now I kind of see where you were. So he says, I keep saying they are who we thought they were.
But they are who we thought they were.
If they are most, all of your answers will be correct. So
if they are what we thought they were, then it kind of covers everything. I didn't understand it the first way when it was in there the first time, but I get it now. So we got to remember.
But they are who we thought they were.
Yes. That's what we want. We want them to be who we think they are. Oh, all right. Well, I already said at the beginning that next week you aren't going to see us. And anything that happens would be earlier because of it being Independence Day. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. or on Facebook or Twitter, wherever you get the information. Make sure you subscribe, get your notifications so you'll know when the show is going. Make sure you continue to check out all our shows. I know I keep plugging my Stat Geek for this week, but it's going to be fun. You know our lineup. We've got stuff coming. There is, I can tell you right now, I don't know what's going to be in its place, but there is no Steelers. What is it? The Jim Wexel Show. Steel City Insider.
Yes.
He's away on vacation because this is the time of year he can actually take a vacation. So there isn't one this week. I'm not sure. I think it might be back the following week, but we'll see. But there may be something else there in its place. But other than that, you've got the lineup coming. Rich, what do you want to say here to close us out tonight?
What was it yesterday where I saw where we're exactly 1 month from training camp or whatever? So
yesterday was 1 month from when they report. Today is 1 month from when they have their first practice. And tomorrow is my 20-year anniversary. So I have to give a shout out to my wife. I love her very much. She's put up with me for 20 years. You had your 25 earlier this year. And I've got my 20 now coming up tomorrow.
So, the fact that we are now, at least I can feel like we're inside a month gives me hope. It's that carrot dangling out there in front of me to kind of keep me going.
The excitement builds.
It's like, okay, I'm right now. Okay, we can make it. We can make it to that point to where we get all that. And I'm looking forward to it. However, next week, me, you, hanging out, the entire family, almost. Mm-hmm. We'll be missing 3.
Yeah.
We'll be missing 3. But other than that, we'll all be hanging out at the beach and having fun together. And for that, I can't wait.
Can't wait.